because you know, well, that's illogical, that's stupid, I'm not going to do it. That's bad for me. You know it doesn't work like that. And it's the same with these people. So, I mean, if you want to get in the head of a madman, that's it. We're all a little mad. We're all a little insane. And we're all a little bit money lovers. And that's a confession. And only God can help us out of our funk. That's it, man. It's God that helps me to be an egalitarian and say, I believe in equality. I need things simple. I want to be like a little kid. Keep it simple, please. Okay? It's God's planet. Okay, we all believe in God. It's God's planet. Yes, logically, simply, yes. So what's the message? God is akin to our parents, only on a much grander level. Okay, this is the Creator God Almighty, our divine parents. And if even a crappy parent would care about their kids and treat them equally, treat the stinkers the same as the good kids, okay, love them the same at least, and bless them, and hope that the stinkers see the light and decide not to be stinkers. But from birth, our reality should be and will be someday entirely different. Can you imagine how dramatically it would change our paradigm overnight if all money was abolished off the face of the earth? So no forms of money were out there. There'd be no way for you to get an advantage over anyone else because God's will had been implemented. See, you have the ability to imagine that world. And I implore you to take some time to say, God, help me, because I'm having a hard time imagining how a society could work without any form of money. But when it's established, it's as much your planet as anybody else's. And what's the planet consist of? A lot of resources, right? It's inherently very wealthy, the way God made it. And the greatest resource is human labor. That's it. Just like Adam Smith, in my estimation, the world's greatest economist, okay, in his book, The Wealth of Nations. I mean, if you're going to read the book, do yourself a favor and only get this edition. It's the only one. I tried to read some others. The only edition I've ever found worthwhile, but you can identify it online. When you're looking for it, get this one, okay? It's great. You hit these little nuggets in there and just give you understanding. I always thought that was how it was, but Adam Smith just really, you're right, just pens it, man. And then your understanding just goes to the roof and you go, oh my God, I see this thing so clearly. It's all about theft. It's all about enslavement. That's how we've been taken. The Federal Labor Department not giving nearly commensurate cost of living adjustments to minimum wage workers as they keep diluting our money, keep debasing our money, keep destroying the worth of our money through raising our cost of living unnaturally. It's all theft. You understand? It's slavery. That's what they've normalized it. Okay, and in the past they weren't as cunning. You're slaves, you're serfs, and we're the, we're the royalty here, right? The feudal system. Yeah, that's the way it is. So it was very clear cut and dry. But they had to be sneaky. They had to be cunning. They had to be diabolical. They had to use subterfuge to get us to this point now. So I say this Federal Labor Department, who's supposed to be looking after the interests of the federal minimum wage workers and keep America cohesive so we didn't get balkanized and divided. You understand? So people will go, I got to move to BF, Arkansas. I can't afford this cost of living. I'll have a higher standard of living in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, than here, so I'm out of here. You understand? That wouldn't be in our mindset. And people are stifled because they can't let go of their houses. Even if they want to move, okay, they can't because they know they'll never be able to afford to buy. Even if they get $500,000 for a house, remember they're going to pay $500,000 or more for the new house that they're moving to. And then their property taxes are going to go up because of Proposition 13 here in California back in the 70s, the Jarvis Act, whereby people would hand houses down in families and you kept paying taxes even 30, 40 years later, okay, 50 years later, based on what you paid for the house. You paid $10,000 for it, and you got 1% property tax. Well, it's $100 a month, $100 a year rather. Can you imagine that property tax? Something like that, right? So, we've really gone downhill. America's the laughing stock of the planet now. We're supposed to be a beacon for of freedom, right? Leaders of the free world and all that crap. And we've fallen into the opposite category. And yeah, I'm going to speak out against it. And we've got to ridicule it, and we've got to point out who the evildoers are. They're in the Congress and the Senate. They're the people in '08 that legitimized the theft of the wealth of our nation by legitimizing with these the bankster class, not your local credit union or your bank. They have nothing to do with these policies. This is coming from on high, the highest echelons of power, the money printing class. They did what they told them to do. Legitimize the debt. It's either that or, hey, you were going to have a lot of banks are going out of business because they loaned recklessly. And in my estimation, from researching it, just paying attention, they did it on purpose. They wanted a lot. They got greedy, like kids in a candy shop who at first they start just stealing a little bit, but then they said, screw it, man. I mean, I'm going to get caught eventually. I'm not playing into this trap. I'm just taking it all. And so that's what happened in '08. So they legitimized blowing out the pipes of the economy, economically speaking. Remember that rash of foreclosures? The effects are still going miserable, high rents. I mean, people, oh, you're trapped. You lost your house. Well, I'm going to be just maybe $10 less than the mortgage you were paying when you lost your house. So that's what I'm doing here. And you better toughen up, man, because the nut's going to get harder and harder to crack. The bar's going to get harder and harder to reach. We're going to keep debasing your money, raising your cost of living. And it's a cause and effect thing. A chain reaction starts in. Everybody's desperate and scrambling to make more and more money. You know, there's more and more burden. Meanwhile, the mainstream media is telling everybody how, hey, property values are up. It's wonderful. While the majority of California residents are renting, and the mainstream media won't educate people about the direct correlation between the cost you pay to buy a house, which a mortgage you're going to pay is, and the price that landlords and investors, speculators, flippers, and all those people, property management companies, landlords, what they charge for rent. You understand? They pencil it in. It's investors, it's math. It's what they do. Well, you know, we know how much they had to pay based on this interest rate, and so we know what their mortgage was. So we'll give them a little break, but only temporarily. But we're going to have to get tough because it's going to get mighty hot in the kitchen as we keep raising rents. And then that causes a chain reaction because everybody's got to charge more for whatever goods and services they offer, combination thereof. Am I right? You get how this thing works, why I'm appalled, and why I'm so pissed off. Okay, because I don't give a crap if they did this with Ferraris or Rolex watches or yachts or jets or anything else that's a luxury item that we just don't need. Okay, even just run-of-the-mill electronics and stuff, it's all still trinkets for the most part. We don't need it. Okay, what we need is housing, shelter. We need food. We need energy. Okay, those are things we need. We need potable water, drinkable water, safe water. And that's about it. So I'm really interested in seeing those prices dirt cheap to free. Is that the direction we've been going? No, the opposite. So the stuff that I don't care about going through the roof because I don't have to buy it, like the VCR in the early 80s, $1,000 of early 80s money, down payment on a fixer-upper, for God's sake, literally. Yeah, a lot of desperate home sellers, because this piece of crap they neglected, I'd be glad to take $1,000 for that. Yeah, and I'll finance it too, a lot of them would say. Back then, VCR, nobody could afford it. You had to rent them. Then by the mid-90s, you get them for $50 on sale with a built-in channel changing tuner thing. Can you imagine? That was the mid-90s money, which had been debased greatly in terms of relative to housing prices. But you understand how it causes everything to increase. Of course it causes the cost of labor to increase. But where's the Federal Labor Department at giving commensurate cost of living adjustments year after year so it didn't seem so dramatic? Then you go, $15 an hour, employer, oh, you crazy, radical, socialist, hippie, freak. It wouldn't be like that at all, would it? No, they'd have all the basis, all the justification in the world to come out in the press and say, this is what we're doing, a minimum wage. The markets have been manipulated. Alert, alert. You don't like it, don't blame the workers because we're just giving them enough to stay even Steven. That's it. Don't blame us. Don't blame the messenger. You want to get to the bottom of it? Look at the causers. Who's manipulating?